The format of this meeting is a film speaker meeting for prison TV to carry a message of hope and recovery to incarcerated Arizona prisoner inmates. Please help me welcome Chelsea.
Hi, my name is Jesse. I'm an alcoholic and addict. Jesse! How you guys doing tonight? Good. My sobriety date is August 29, 2012. My sponsor is Jeff Betters. My home group is Bill Soldiers at Crossroads Arcadia. One of my service commitments is bringing a CMA meeting into Lewis Prison every Wednesday. And I sponsor quite a few guys. So I'll give you guys a picture of what it was like, what happened, and where I'm at today. How many of y'all had a really good life growing up? Right? That was me too. How many of y'all had kind of a rougher life growing up? Right? So, I don't know for you guys, but for me, I believe I was born with this disease. And it progressively got worse and worse as I got older. And some people would say that there's some science to it, or this, or this, or this, but, you know, news is they still haven't figured it out, you know what I mean? And that's the crazy thing about this deal is I don't know why I got high, and I don't know why I couldn't stop getting high. Same as, you know, I don't know why I kept drinking, and I don't know why I couldn't stop drinking, right? So, father's Cuban, mother's Irish. I was born in West Palm Beach, Florida. Got an older brother, older sister. Older sister did meth for about 7 years, just mysteriously quit, never did it again. Tight. Not my story, right? I have my brother. He smokes weed, a lot of it, and has for about 30, 40 years. And, you know, he holds down a company, man, and holds down six figures and has a pretty decent life. I don't know about, you know, my mother and dad, neither one of them are alcoholic or addict. But I do know that, you know, I had some, my mom had 13 brothers and sisters. 4 of those brothers died of alcoholism. One of them died, went to sleep, taking some pills and drinking, never woke up. My Uncle Bo, he was drinking and riding a motorcycle, ran into the back of a stopped pickup truck about 70 miles an hour, passed away. My father's mother, she died of alcoholism. So, I mean, you know, it's in there. In which, you know, we probably could go through every single family and find somebody who was affected or somebody who had this bug, right? So, father was a minister growing up. I was born in Florida, raised up in Alaska, so we had church on the property. Dad carried a pretty heavy message. Somewhere in the mix, we moved out of there in the early 80s and moved out to North Carolina. How y'all been in North Carolina here? Right, so I moved to a town, it was called Winston-Salem, and my dad carried a pretty heavy message there as well. Now, nothing against nobody, but I've seen both sides of the church, if y'all know what that means. I saw the nonprofit side, and then I saw my dad doing some heavy work. And in early 80s, about 83, we moved out here to Phoenix, and my dad got completely out of the church. Owed the IRS like about 75 grand. So my ideals and my conceptions of God as a young kid, I kind of just followed the path. How many of y'all followed the path? Your parents and whatever was in front of you. That was me. They said go right, I went right. My dad was just kind of like completely out of that deal. Almost angry to a certain extent. And like, don't even bring that up around here. Don't even come around with that. So I'm going to fast forward because, you know, I'm trying to get to what really was like in my whole drug addiction, my alcoholism. So as we fast forward, there was a shift that kind of happened to me. How many of you guys have broken homes? Yeah, see, I'm from a broken home, and I believe that's kind of traumatic for a kid. Some people, you know, you never had your parents, and some people had your parents. So it's kind of the same, meaning that if you never had your parents, it's something that you yearn for. You want your parents in your life. You want to do good. You want to be, you know, accepted. You want them to be proud of you. Whereas on the other side, if you had your parents, and then the ideal is that it's there and it's something beautiful, and then it's broken apart, right? So tough deal either way. Everybody's experiences in here are a little bit different. But I believe that, you know, by the end of the share here, hopefully I can bring you guys to where we all come in here for the same reason, right? Get better and get healthy. That's it. Living a shell of a life. It ain't working out. Everything that I've been doing, I suck. I failed miserably time and time again. So, mom and dad married for about 20 years. And somewhere in the mix, dad goes, hey, I got to talk to you boys upstairs. Takes me and my brother upstairs. And he says, me and your mom are going to be getting separated. So I remember being angry as a kid. Like, hey, that's my lollipop. I want to watch Voltron. I'm getting grounded. Can't go down the road with my bike, hang out with my kids. Hang out with my bros. Whatever it might be. But this was like a whole nother level of anger. So here's something, man, that kind of like really, really hit me when I came into the program. Is I got core beliefs, right? Core. Kind of like the self-will. How deep is the self-will, right? It's pretty deep. Like way deep. It's something that we cut away in here as soon as we get in here. And them core beliefs are the same way. You do this, I do that. You talk to me like this, I talk to you like that. You don't apologize like I think is acceptable or meet a certain standard. You need to get on your knees, you need to beg, or you just, he didn't even really mean that. So here's a core belief. The core belief for me is my mom and dad gonna be together forever. I never even thought about them getting divorced or getting separated, right? So I'm crushed. And I'm very upset. And 2 months later, mom and dad getting divorced, got the custody thing going on. Dad's like, come over and live with me. I'll get you everything you need. Mom's like, hey, you're going to stay with me, this and this and this. He says, hey, you two boys want to go up to Grand Canyon? Yeah, sure, let's go up to Grand Canyon. Dad goes up to Grand Canyon, says, hey, I got a new girlfriend. Right? Okay, so this new girlfriend's 2 years older than my older sister. Right? I've never met her. I don't know her. But I can tell you right off the bat, this is most of my life. I don't like you. Hope you burn in hell. And you need to dip immediately. Home wrecker, trade my mom in, all that. But this is the way, I heard a guy say, God bless him, he passed away, but when he came up to share, this is about 3 or 4 years ago, he came up and he had about 30-something years sober. He said, hey, I'm going to sit up here and let y'all judge me for about 45 minutes. If you say anything different, man, you're a liar. And I really got down with that because I was judging him right when he said that. I was like, look at his hat, his long hair, look at him with the glasses. Who wears glasses in the meeting, man, and all this. And that's my deal, is I made my judgment. This is who you are. I don't want to meet you. I don't want to know you. Get out of here. And the crazy thing is I never went back to Grand Canyon until about 2 or 3 years ago. That was in 1986. I was like, every time I see a picture of the Grand Canyon, I was like, Grand Canyon, big asshole, nothing going on in there, right? Because that's what my experience is, that the Grand Canyon is where my dad said, hey, I got a new girlfriend, right? So we'll go fast forward a little bit. First time I ever did drugs and alcohol. My mom and dad are divorced at this time. We moved to New Mexico. How many of y'all been in New Mexico? All right, I moved up in the Four Corners area, a place called Farmington. It was actually not Farmington where I lived, but that was the biggest town. So in 1986, 87, I was like a little skater kid wearing NWA shirts, doing the Running Man, pop locking. I was a B-boy when I grew up. And mom's country, right? She's Bobby Jean. I got a cousin, Little Abner. They clog, man. You know what I mean? They get down. Conway Twitty, Ronnie Millsap. I know all that stuff. And she meets this country dude named Dean. He was raised in Bloomington, Indiana on a farm until he was about 19 years old. And she said, hey, we're thinking about moving up to New Mexico. I'm like, New Mexico? Where's New Mexico? I ain't moving to Mexico. And she's like, no, New Mexico. And I'm like, New Mexico? What is that? And she's like, that's a state, right next to it. I'm like, I ain't never even heard of that. So here's the deal. I got a choice, right? I can either move with my father and the new stepmom. I told you guys about stepmom, right? That ain't happening. So I'm like, we gotta move up there with my stepdad. I remember my stepdad saying, hey, I got a motorcycle. Motorcycle. Sounds tight. I like a motorcycle. Story of my life, right? Once I get the motorcycle, once I get the car, once I get this job, once I get this girl, I gotta stop hanging out with Johnny. Stop hanging out with Jeff. Move over here, move over there. Not do this, not do that. It's moving. See, so this disease and the spiritual malady that we're talking about, me being spiritually unfit from a young age, is progressively growing. And I don't even know about it. So, move up New Mexico, culture shock, right? I lived on 19th and T-Bird, 59th Greenway area when I moved out here. And when I moved up to New Mexico, we moved into a town that was called Bloomfield. It was about 3,000 people. I remember I went into the school. The school was like really tore back and really old. And it had like the brown trim, turquoise doors, and rolled down windows where they rolled them out. And I'm like, whew, I messed up coming here, man. And the kids started coming out, and they had Metallica shirts on. And I'm like, who the hell's Metallica? Right? And they had mullets, peg pants. See, the thing is that peg pants went out in Phoenix like 2 years ago. So I was like, hey, man, that's not cool no more, man. What y'all doing, man? It's kind of like a time warp. So I start going to this new school, right? I don't fit in. I'm the city kid, right? And, I was always picked on as a kid. You know what I mean? My name is Jesse, Jesse's Girl, that song, man. They used to sing that on the bus, like, and Synchronicity, like there was some, big chorus band or something. And I got red hair. And I'm a ginger and I'm pasty. And even better yet, my father's cute, my mother's Irish. So people are like, what do you look at you, man? You're not even, what's up with your last name? And I'm just like, look, man, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. And moved to Mexico, and the town that I'm going to be going to school with is about 3,000 people. And where I live is Blanco. It's about 10 miles from there. It's about 21 people. So I go from 19th and T-Bird to about 21 people. And about the nearest house being 1.5 miles away. So the only thing that I can think about right now is where's that motorcycle at? Right now. And God bless that motorcycle, probably saved my life, man. Right? So first time I did drugs, 8th grade. I'm not really fitting in school. We got these cool kids on the back of the bus, and they're drinking on some wild turkey. Got like a little pint of it. Small town, it's your Yukon Jack and wild turkey or go home. It ain't no, hey, no, it's go hard from the jump. And I might cuss a little bit, not too much. This will be 2 times probably I will. So I'm sitting on the back of the bus, and I got the captain of the football team, beautiful girlfriend, really cool. Everybody's looking up to him. And he looks at me and he's like, hey, man, you want to take a nip? And I'm like, nah, man. Stupid. And he goes, don't be a bitch. Right, so ego's a powerful deal, right? Ego think it got some power, right? It's the one thing that prevents me from saying, yo, I'm sorry, I'm struggling, I'm scared, I don't understand, I need help. Don't allow us to do any of that. My pride get in the way, and I'm like, let me see that bottle. And then the next thing you know, I hate the taste of it. Saliva's kind of running out of my mouth. And I get off the bus and I'm like, the effects, right? I'm at a new school, I don't really fit in, I don't really care. Because I'm running this school now. Y'all don't know. They didn't get the memo this morning? Running this deal around here. And, I go into class. I got a teacher, Mr. Reno. God bless him, man. I ran him heavy, man. And he was a Vietnam vet. He was missing half of his finger, so he'd always point at you like that. And he couldn't hear well, so he'd always say, hold the noise. And I remember I'd sit in the back, and I'd just move my mouth like I was talking. He'd be like, hold the noise. And I remember he told me, man, you need to hold the noise. And I was like, whatever, bro. And he was like, what'd you say? And he sent me to the office. Repercussions and consequences. They ever stopped y'all from getting high and getting drunk? Never, right? Perfect example of this right here is that they were like, yeah, you're going to get, 2 swats. And I was like, nah, that ain't happening. Your mom's got to sign a piece of paperwork for you to get them swats. And I know my mom didn't sign that paperwork. My mama loved me. She wouldn't do that to me. And he goes, well, it's crazy because your mom signed right here. And I was like, oh. How many of y'all ever been swatted in here with a paddle? I'm not talking about mom with some Hot Wheel tracks. I'm talking like grown man coaching the football team. Notches in his wood shop little paddle he had. Looked like Gangs in New York. And pulled me out in the hallway. Boom, boom. Pride and ego, right? I go back in, I'm like, shh, whatever. I hit hard, man. 3 days later, man, black and blue. I never got swats again, right? Because I'm crafty, right? I sneak around some stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out real quick. Always got an angle, always got a way, nook and cranny somewhere. Same thing with drugs. So the reason why I did the alcohol, right? What do you think it was? Peer pressure, right? I wanted to fit in. Did I know that I was an alcoholic when I took that first drink? No. So it might have been the one time in my life that I had a choice. Because if you're the same as me and you're an alcoholic and an addict like I am, you suffer from alcoholism, the power of choice gets lost somewhere along the way. Some people say, well, you gotta try harder. I'm like, well, that's tight. Sounds tight. But when, you find yourself crying and sitting in the corner and putting your life on the line that you ain't gonna do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, it's a little bit different, right? So, drugs, same deal. Huffing some stuff out of the big 5-gallon drum at wood shop. Whoa! And I'm like, nah, man, do that. Stupid. And the guy, once again, this will be the second time I'm gonna cuss tonight. He said, don't be a bitch. And I said, move out of the way, I'll show you how to do that. On goes my huffing career, right? Huffing gas out of a lawnmower engine. Huffing gas, lacquer thinner, different colored paints, So, junior high school, drinking on the weekends, passing out. Being like, man, I'm only gonna have 2 beers tonight. Next thing you know, I'm passed out next to the keg before the party even starts. So that just went on and on and on and on. It was a really good time. I mean, even huffing the gas out of lawnmower engine, that was tight until my boy's dad walked in and was like, hey, what are you doing? I'll share this with you guys, man. Some people are normal and some people are addicts and alcoholics. God bless them, man, either way. But I can tell you this. When you go to a normal person, right? Because here's the one thing that you need to have to get in here. Number one, you got to have a desire to get sober and get clean, right? There you go. First requirement. But also, too, is you got to have experience, right? So when I ask a normal person, have you ever smoked crack? And they're like, whoa, hey, no, I've never done that. What the hell? And I'm like, oh, huh. You ever smoked meth? Oh, no. Why would you ever do that? And I go, you ever huff gas out of a lawnmower engine? Of course, the answer is no, about 100% of the time. Right? Because they don't have that experience. Some people look at that and go, no, that's no way. I would never shoot heroin. That's just, what do you mean? God bless them. Because I will. I have fun doing it. Right? At the beginning, it was fun. And that's why we're wired a little bit different, man. Right? Mind, body, and spirit. My mind, I have a mental obsession with the alcohol and the drugs. Body, I'm going to try to kick it to you guys in everyday language. I don't know if you guys work the steps, but I'll try to break it down as best I can so that everybody can understand. And my body, man, you could become physically dependent on drugs and alcohol. And then the spirit, where's the spirit at? Well, God's in the trunk right now. Pull him out later. Story of my life. How many of y'all ever got pulled over and you're not really sure on what you believe in or if you believe in anything at all, but you get pulled over and you got a bunch of stuff in the car, right? I always share this with my new guys, man. And what's the first thing you start saying? Man, I pray they don't find that shit in the trunk, right? Who am I praying to? I don't know, man. Something bigger come down here right now and help me out. Looking out the window. Come on. Come up, run the ID real quick, run the registration. Everything comes up clean. Not always, but this time, for example, it did. And then as soon as they leave, man, what's the first thing I say? Thank God. Put it back in the trunk, roll down the road, gas pedal. Story of my life. Just really didn't even know what was going on. Didn't even know that I was an addict or alcoholic from a young age. You know, they say that, and how it works. I love that first paragraph because there's so much power in it, and what's actually like really suggested in this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And you know, rarely have we seen a person fail or thoroughly followed our path. Great, you know, I do like the original manuscript. It said follow directions, which is a little bit different, but it said the people incapable of this is people who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. So what that tells me is I've been delusional for most of my life and unable to be honest with myself about who I was and where I was at and what I was up against. Crazy. When you look back and think 14 or 15 years old is when I first started using drugs and alcohol, and I didn't make it to rooms till I was 38. That's 23 years. It's a long time. You know, by every form of experimentation and self-deception. Y'all know what that means? Oh, we're just gonna try one pill. We're just gonna do this, we ain't gonna do that. So here's what happens. I get married somewhere along the road. I have a hard meth run for about a year. Yeah, the marriage don't work out. 99, kind of the worst year for me, man, in a nutshell. Me and my dad hadn't been really talking. I was living on 3rd Avenue, McDowell. My marriage had not been working out. We were getting a divorce. I wasn't able to see my daughter. My job started getting slow. It's like a really bad movie. Country song, backwards, forwards, whatever. And I'm living on 3rd Avenue, McDowell, some apartments. And I'm kind of been and just kind of isolating, hanging out, smoking weed, doing that deal. And hadn't talked to my dad in a couple of years. My brother says, hey, I need to talk to you. I'm like, what's up? Why can't you just tell me? He's like, no, I need to come over. Brother comes over. Brother's always like shot from the hip, so he just lets it go. And he rolls in the door and he's like, Dad passed away. So I had a stepdad who was in my life. Meant the world to me. God bless him, man. He's an amazing man. And I always thank him for stepping up because I got a lot from both of them, right? And I was crushed. That was it. There's a couple things that went on there, man. Number one, my dad's gone. I ain't even gonna be able to say goodbye. A lot of regret, a lot of shame, a lot of, hey, I couldn't be the bigger person, man, again. And, you know, I wish I could have talked to him. My dad passed away at St. Joseph's Hospital, guys. I was on 3rd Avenue in McDowell. It's like a mile away. He was on life support for like 3 weeks, never even knew it. It's just sad, man. Resentments, man. Number one offender. Ruined everything. And from that stem a bunch of other stuff. So, I'm on like a 2-year bender. 1-year bender. I don't know. Smoking crack, acid, meth, whatever. And very suicidal. My sister and my mom come down to get me out of Phoenix, and they open up the apartment, and it's kind of like one of those days where the family comes in and they go, what are you doing? And you're like, what? What are you doing here? Everything's fine. And they're like, you look like you haven't eaten in 8 years. Pull back the windows, you know what I mean? And when they do, you're like, oh my God. And they're like, you're gonna get in the car and you're going to Vegas. That's where my mom and my sister live. Vegas, perfect place. Right? This is gonna be great. Man, Vegas, man. Vegas chewed me up and spit me out too many times to count. Had a lot of good times, a lot of bad times in Vegas. Learned how to gamble in Vegas. You don't. That's how you learn. You learn not to gamble. Because casinos are big for a reason, man. And you go blow a couple of $1,800 checks in about 15 minutes and walk home with about $10. That walk to the parking lot, I don't know, man. I've been through detox and withdrawing 80 million times and dying and being in hospitals, whatever, but dude, that walk, woo, it's a dark one, man. And you ain't getting that money back. I got to pay rent, and I got to come up with some stories. You ain't gonna believe what happened, right? Drug addicts and alcoholics, man. We sick, man. Anytime somebody starts with like, you ain't gonna believe what happened nowadays, I'm this suspect. This dude jumped out of the bushes, bro. This came off the roof, man. It's like 1,500 on got it, but can you front me another 500? I'm good. I don't know, man. Sounds sketchy. So I go up to Vegas for a little bit. My brother's been in a band, and I've been kind of like, you know, rapping, kind of in the music scene a little bit, and he asked me to join the band and go out on tour. So 98, 99, I joined the band, and I started touring nationally, man, for a lot of years. And out on the road was a beautiful deal, right? Blessing and a curse. Some of the best times I ever had, and some of the worst times I ever had. The ego and the status and everything, it went to a whole nother level. I'd probably say that I was probably the band member with the most humility, and I didn't have a whole lot. I started really isolating out on the road because, you know, everybody wants something from you. You know, you've got the status, you get the back page, you know, you roll up in the bus, and there's a bunch of thousands of people out there to see you, and you're making all kinds of money, man, and you're moving town to town, living out of a suitcase. I got a daughter at home that I don't see but like 3 months of the year, if that. So I live like a double life, right? The one I want everybody to see, and then the actual one that I live. And the one that I'm living, man, is just a shell of a life. The only time, man, that I'm good out on the road is when I'm up there on stage for about an hour and a half. Them other 23 hours of reality, and it's rough. So a lot of drugs and alcohol, man, to mask that up. You know, I'm ashamed, I'm feeling less than, you know, I'm a real piece of work father. So, here's what happens. I go to Japan, 2004. So at this point, we're doing really well. I'm making really good money. Have I saved any money? No. Of course not. More money you make, the more money you spend, especially when you're an alcoholic or addict like I am. Because I just always think the money's going to keep coming in and I'm going to make more. Never thought about that I'd probably make less or the same. I'm going to make more. Expectations, right? How many of y'all got expectations in here, right? And I heard something years ago, it says that, you know, we have our expectations so high for just not only myself, but for you too as well. So much room for failure. And I found that true in my life. So many expectations on everything. I expected it to go this. And then when it went this, and this, and I was like this, oh. You ever hope for like 100 and got 1? What's that feel like? Rough. I'm angry. Man, but if you hope for 1 and get 100, you're like, well, I only thought I was going to get 1. That's tight. Give me that 100. It's like the glass half full, right? Is it half left or is it half gone? There's half left, man. I still got half left. Right? And this program talks about a complete psychic change, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. So what happens in 2004 is I go to Japan. At this point, I'm like dribbling down Percocets and Xanny bars and doing coke and drinking and just living the life. It's great, you know. And I meet this guy over there, and his name's Bob, and he's got this crust around his lips. And I'm like, why got that crust around his lips? Why don't you just wipe that off? It's been like a day or two. I go, well, what's his name? And they're like, that's Oxy Bob. I'm like, well, why do they call him Oxy Bob? So I go up to him and I'm like, hey man, why they call you Oxy Bob? Because you know in the band, man, you get pretty arrogant, man. You don't have no filter, no gas. You know, it's all gas. Like, hey bro, why you wear your hair like that? Where other people would say some stuff, they're like, why they call you Oxy Bob? Because I got that Oxycontin. And I'm like, Oxycontin, what is that? And he goes, well, it's like Vicodin. And I'm like, well, I like Vicodin. How many of y'all done Vicodin? Oxycontin ain't nothing like Vicodin, man. Sorry. People, I share this too as well, is that, you know, when I first did meth, the guy said it was like Coke. Now, y'all know meth ain't like Coke. Nothing against no cocaine addicts. I don't want to minimize or like, you know what I'm saying, but come on. One is, you know, and then the other one's like, yeah, I was kind of tired. We need some more. You know, Hey, you usually don't do meth, and then right after that, you're like, we need more. You're like, wow, hey. And you just leave the bag right there, and you go down the street, and you come back, hey, did we leave that there? Hold on, man, where'd it go? And it's crazy, man. Woo! I'm a crystal meth addict, man. And so I come back from Japan, and here I am in Tokyo, man. I don't know how, but this is how Tokyo looks for me. Passing out on the sidewalks, man. Random girls in the alleys. Just a real piece of work, stand-up guy, right? That my father can be proud of, or my daughter can be proud of. Because you know what, man? No matter what, man, I can't escape the truth. And the truth of the matter is that I'm a real piece of work. Now, I can neatly evade it and act like it ain't there and like it ain't on me, man, but that's a part of this deal. I'm really good at tucking it to the back, putting it on the back burner like it ain't there. But, there's a real big piece of me from a young age, man, with my daughter until I got to be an older dude and got involved in a program that just really deprived my daughter of the father she deserved. And that sat really heavy on me. And until I came in here, I just really couldn't get honest about all that. So here's what happens. Tokyo is like 25 times the size of New York City, just to give you guys a picture. It's the biggest city in the world. And when you wake up in a foreign country, on the sidewalk, with a show in like an hour, and you're like, hey man, and there's like thousands of people walking by you, and you're like, hey man, do you know where this club is? And they're like, I don't understand. And I'm like, oh. And, because my first trip over there, I only knew like konnichiwa and domo arigato and, some simple words. You go back a couple times, you start learning some stuff. So here's what happens, is that I come back from there, and of course the OC 80s are popping. And I've been hustling weed when I was off the road, and I was doing pretty good. The weed game, man, is different, right? They cool, man. They're like, yeah, this is the weed. Hey, come on in, man. Oh, is that you, bro? Okay, cool. But, meth and pills and stuff, it's different. People are fiending for that. I'm thinking I'm going to make a killing. I'm going to go get like 180s. You see that dude? He was struggling. Plus, they're small. You can't smell them. You can put it right in the air filter underneath the hood, man, because I'm sick like that. Ain't nothing going in the ashtray. Like that sick addict alcoholic. I'm thinking like 40 times over, and that probably from all the meth I did. I'm like, we got to figure out where the cop won't look. Put it in there and shove it down in the gas tank with a string. I mean, I don't know, man. I just, And I come back, man, in about 2 months I start making a lot of money, and then, getting high on their own supply. 2004 to 2012 is what it looks like, guys. My nickname's ICU for a reason. There ain't too many hospitals in the metropolitan area that I ain't been to multiple times. I have a strong opinion about hospitals and about doctors. But I'm really just the same as religion. I'm quick to see where they're right. God bless them. They saved my life 1,000,000 times over. And a lot of those times, man, I asked them for stuff, and they gave it to me. But I can tell you, I was selling them a story all the time. Oh, my elbow, oh, my knee, oh, my back, oh. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. We need more. Oh, man, I'm stressed out. Got a manic depressive anxiety. It's always funny, man, when people come into the program and start getting sober. They're like, I got anxiety. I'm like, oh, you do? You ain't special, bro. I still have anxiety. How you not gonna be anxious about everything? That's like saying you ain't worried about nothing. It's not even practical or realistic. Of course you are. I'd be shocked if you weren't. The same as like when somebody's getting high and they're like, can you believe he lied? I'm like, yeah. Of course he did. You barely tell the truth in here. So what happens, man, is the multiple hospital visits. My mom, was an enabler. God bless her, man. She just stuck on me, man, and never gave up. And you guys probably have some of those experiences, man, where your mom has just been like, you You gotta just turn it around, come on, man. What's wrong with you? Why are you slobbering on yourself? God dang it. Because when you show up, dude, this is how sick this deal is. When you take so many pills and you're slobbering on yourself, right? And your whole family at Christmas dinner is like this, hey, bro, you're slurring your words. And you're like, no, I'm not. And you go to the bathroom because you're so offended they said that you were slobbering. How dare you? And I go have a conversation with myself in the mirror. And I ain't slobbering, and I ain't slurring my words. And I go back out there and I'm like, idiots. And they go, you're slurring your words again. You guys ever watch Wolf of Wall Street? Yeah, right. Where he gets in the Lambo. Story of my life. This is how it actually went. But actually, this is how it went. This is that my mind, I'm fine. I'm not even slurring my words. But the reality is I'm like, so bro. Yeah, And they're like, what? And you're like, ho. We don't even say things sometimes. We're just mumbling out stuff. Yeah. How you doing? Well, So 2012 comes along like a good addict and alcoholic. I'm living with my mom. My mom's paying my bills. My mom's taking care of my daughter too. I burned up the sofa in the house at this point. Driving my mom's car. So many cigarette burns. Donut tires. Just wrecked that car. She finally just got a new one. It's like, you're never driving my new car, and you can have that one. I was like, and what happens is I start licking people, man, on the south side over here across the bridge. I was living at 16th Street and Rozier over here, and Maryville. Those have become my two spots for about 2 or 3 years. I start hanging out with a bunch of dudes that are no good, just like me. And I tell them what houses to hit. They go hit it. A lot of times when dudes are homies. You guys ever sold something to somebody or fronted somebody $1,000 worth of stuff? And then after that, go grab your homies to rip that $1,000 and a bunch of other stuff off. And then dude calls you, he's like, bro, I just got pistol whipped and beat up. I'm like, oh, that sucks, bro. You got my 1,000? How sick is that? I mean, that's sick. And did I feel good about that? Probably not, man. But the reality is I need more. It's never enough. Never. I could have a U-Haul out here packed full, 3 U-Hauls and a semi. And I still be thinking, man, we probably gonna run out. We probably gonna run out, man. We gotta get another semi pulled up, man. Because I can already see it happening. And I don't want to be there. We need to just keep it rolling in. So what happens in 2012 is I'm living out off of Watson and Buckeye in a 2-story house, my mom's house. Never do any drug deals at my house. And my daughter's 17 at this point. She's a junior in high school. And I'm sitting there hanging out with my daughter one night. My daughter has some signs about who I am, but the reality is that nobody really knows. When people see you as a drug addict or alcoholic as like a son or a brother or something, trust and know that they're just scratching the surface. They just seen some stuff and they're like, whoo, but they really don't know. And my daughter says, hey, Dad, there's 4 guys at the door with guns. So the first time in my life, it got really sketchy. Now, this isn't just me, and, a lot of times we're always like, well, my drug addiction and my alcoholism ain't affecting you. Don't worry about it. You know it has to deal with untreated alcoholism, right? Who you think? The rest of the world. That's who. Everybody you run across. Terrorist, manipulator, Decepticon, right? Rolling as a Lambo, leave as a Peno. You don't know what you're getting half the time with me. I'll tell you, my name's Jerry. Whatever, bro, give me that. Yeah, here's my phone number. I'll be right back. Go right over the steps, over out the other one, change phone number. Story of my life. And what happens is that I get to a point where I'm looking at my daughter in the eye and she's so petrified and so scared, man, that I thought to myself, bro, this is a problem. Now keep in mind that 20 years before that, I knew that I was a drug addict and alcoholic. I just didn't believe that I needed help or that I couldn't make it out on my own. The book talks about all the self-knowledge in the world is not enough to cut it. They talk about the power has to come from somewhere else. Why? Because you don't got it. How many of y'all got a track record in here? Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Don't forget that sobriety date neither. It's important. It's important to remember that time that you came in these doors or you came into this deal and how dark it got. And know that if you're like me, it absolutely will go there, but worse. The crazy part in the insanity of this disease is that we go back to it time and time again. Like it's going to be different. And it gets progressively worse and worse. So the first time I asked my family, I need help. Of course, my brother's ecstatic because he's been living with me for about 10 years, slobbing on myself. He's like, you ready? Oh, rehab, detox? Hold on. Pulls out the computer, starts pulling up all kinds of places. And, you know, I was like, oh, yeah. He's like, look at this one. They got a swimming pool. They got palm trees. And I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever, man. Why is everybody so excited? So, you think I'd have stopped getting high at that point, but I didn't, right? Because I couldn't stay clean and sober for my daughter, or my mom, or my brother, or my health, or the repercussions and consequences, right? First exercise my sponsor had me do was 10 things worth staying clean and sober for, right? I put down a lot of things, health, this. Then he switched it around and he said, how many of those things keep you clean and sober? And you know what the answer was? None of them. I was like, well, you know, maybe this or this or this. The reality is that all that stuff was in place before. Did it keep you clean and sober? Nope, sure didn't. Had to come from somewhere else. Not in like money, girlfriend, kids. They could be all the motivation in the world after, but not at the time. So I check into CBI downtown. How many of y'all been to CBI? Oh yeah, it's like Vietnam down there. You know, the ambulance and the bums fighting and people slobbering and oh yeah. And my brother drops me off and he goes, hey, you gonna be good? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm supposed to be here. And he goes, shh, bro. Man, you need to get your shit together, bro. It's getting rough. And I was like, I know. So I sat there in that crisis area. Of course, I've taken like a massive amount of pills and 40 bag of meth and smoked a ton of weed because this is my last hoorah. Bright ideal, right? 8-10 hours later, I'm sweating bullets. And I'm like, oh, you know, and I ain't went to the bathroom in a week or two. I got hemorrhoids, pancreas is all inflamed, and you know, I'm just in bad shape. This thing about opiate users, man, they look halfway decent on the outside, but man, if you could see the inside. Woo! It's like a trash can. Dumpster, ain't been taken out in 3 years. And I'm like, you know, I ain't gonna get into this detox. I knew about detox because I heard everybody talking about it. There are people dying to get into detox. Oh, get into detox. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but you know, whatever. Sounds tight because everybody's trying to get in there. Plus, I can see through this window, and they got the scrubs and they got the good movies over there. So I'm like, yeah, need to get over there. And I'm like, you know what? I sat in there for about 24 hours, and they're doing the vitals every 2 hours with the buoy beacon, you know, the hospital lights on. And I'm like, can we turn them down, man? Come on. And they're like, hey, are you sure? Yes, I am. Yes, I want help. Oh, yeah. And I finally was like, I'm out. And they go, well, you getting into detox? And I was like, tight. And I remember the dude next to me, he was like, hey, are you getting into detox? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, ah! Bro, I'm way sicker than you. Whatever, dude. Move out the way. Because I'm really selfish and self-centered at this point. Move. It's my jelly donut. I'm taking 3, and you ain't getting 1. So, the plant, you know, sometimes, man, for people, the seed of Alcoholics Anonymous was planted. And it was planted for me with a nurse that was in there right when I got into detox. She said, hey, you ever been a member of Alcoholics Anonymous? No. She said, you a drug addict and alcoholic? I said I was a drug addict because I hadn't drank in 2 years. She said, if you're anything like me or described in this book, you're going to have to work these steps with a sponsor, find a higher power or a power greater than yourself, and then you're going to have to work with other men and get involved. I was like, yeah. Went to that meeting that night, heard him share, didn't really hear nothing, wasn't really listening. I got a closed mind. My plan is I'm going to have 30 days sober, and then I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my damn deal. I learned my lesson. I know what the hell. I got another nook and cranny I can hit. Delusional. How many more angles can I hit? How many ways is there left for me to try? How many of y'all tried everything to stay sober? I tried everything. But my mind told me there was one more angle after 1,000. One more. And what happens is I get into Crossroads Arcadia. When I get to Crossroads Arcadia, I spend my first 2 or 3 weeks there just struggling, trying to go to the bathroom regularly. This is the first time in my life, 15 years, I ate 3 meals in a day. Was I hit Crossroads Arcadia. First time. Crazy, right? People do that all the time. I mean, I go get like a naked drink. It says 23 strawberries, 14 bananas. I'm like, I'm good for the week. See that? If I drink 2 of those, I might be good for 2 weeks. Crazy, man. And fast forward here a little bit, man. I'm in there about a month, and about 3 weeks, and people are asking me how I'm doing. Pride and ego is a hell of a deal, right? I tell them I'm doing great, man. I ain't like you. I got a plan. They're like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna go out and get an apartment. I'm gonna get a job, man. And I'm just, what I'm saying, I'm not gonna do none of that hard stuff no more. And they're like, oh, you got this, huh? You good? You know when you're new and you're like, dude, mocking me like I'm some joke, bro. Dude, I know what I'm doing. And they're like, I remember my boy JD, man, God bless him, man. He's still sober, man. Got some more. He used to call me on it, man, every time. He'd be like, oh, you good to go? And he would be right there in front of you, like telling you, like, oh, yeah, you gonna move out? Oh, yeah, okay. And I just be like, I used to get so upset. And what happens is there's kid Sharon, man. He's about 20 years old. Shot dope for about 5 years. Had a bunch of felonies. Had about 9 months sober. Shared just like I'm sharing tonight. And I heard his story and I could relate to it. A couple things hit me really hard. 20 years old, 9 months sober. How's that possible? I'm 38 years old in a bunk bed at a rehab. Right? First step. Minute we were powerless over the drugs and the alcohol, life's unmanageable. Bunk bed, 38, unmanageable. I don't know, man, however you get there. I got there quick. I was like, yeah, it ain't working out. So I said, you got to get a sponsor there. And then I said, okay, hey, bro, I'll tell you what, man. I need you to run me through these steps and sponsor me. He's like, oh, yeah, seems cute. He was from, like, Northern Cali. And I go, I'll tell you what, man. I'm not a 100% believer, man. I got my own ideas about this deal. I still think you guys are drinking the Kool-Aid around here and people smoking weed around the corner. Come on. Staying sober, that big book. People praying and meditating. It's weird. Hugging, talking about they love each other. Bro, back it up. And I said, if I work these steps, I get halfway through and it ain't working, man. I'll tell you right now, you got some slaps coming to your face, right? And I start working these steps, man. And here's where the magic happens, right? So I kind of run through these steps a little bit with you, man. Step 1, man, got to get that one perfect. I see a lot of people going in and out of these rooms because they can't get their hands around step 1. I see a lot of people go out of these rooms, man, because they're doing steps 1 and 12. And skipping all the ones in between. But number 1, you got to get perfect. You got to get your hands around it. Something deep. Healthy respect for this disease, right? Scared of being loaded or being scared of going and getting loaded will never keep you sober, right? I have a healthy respect for this disease, like the city bus that rolls down the road. 45 miles an hour city bus. You jump out in front of it, what happens? Get ran over. Same thing drugs do to me, right? So I respect that deal. I understand what it will do. I know that's what it will do if I get high. There's no doubt about it. When you get your mind into a place where you know that's exactly what's going to happen, you start looking at things differently. It's no longer like on the table. It's no longer a thought like, well, possibly. Nope. Possibly means you probably going to get loaded. Unfortunately, if you still think there's an avenue or a nook and cranny out there you ain't hit, you probably going to get loaded. You're like, well, if I get loaded, then I'll just come back. I'm like, you already getting loaded. It's just like saying, I'm a piece of garbage. You sure are. You just said it. Words are powerful. Talk ourselves right into a shit show. So here's what happens. Come steps 1 and 2, coming to believe that a power greater than me can restore me to sanity. Step 3, tough for me. Make a decision to turn my will over to the care of God as I understand it, right? Will and my life. Does it say turn my will over to God? No, it doesn't. Turn my will and my life over to the care of God. What's that look like? God ain't. I heard an old dude, man, saying in a meeting, man, years ago. Some guy was like, get out of the driver's seat and let God drive. Some old dude with a bunch of time, man, was like, well, who's going to drive? And I was like, yeah. Who's going to drive? We come quite demanding with whatever God of our understanding might be or whatever your higher power might be. Like, you need to come down here and do everything for me. No, you got to do some stuff. You got to still drive that car. You still got to set that alarm. You still got to, really put some action into this. The third step in the 12 and 12 really goes into it about aligning our will with whatever we believe to be God's will. God gave us brains to use, right? It's proper use of the will. Best question that could ever got asked of me, man, was my grand sponsor said, every situation and scenario you run up on, ask yourself what God would want you to do and roll with that. Pretty simple. Sometimes it comes down to the right and wrong thing. I start to come through this inventory and find out, guess what? I created all this mess. Every single bit of it. I also find out that I'm scared. I'm scared of a bunch of stuff. Fear of being judged. Fear of being vulnerable. Shoot, I even had a fear coming in here tonight getting in front of this podium. I got a lot of fears. Fear of confrontation. Fear of losing everything I got. Sometimes, man, it's just a bunch of stuff. And I find out my part in the whole deal. Find out that I got a bunch of character defects. Step 6 and 7. Heavy, right? These are the things that hold us back in life. They don't just mysteriously, magically go away. Newsflash. You don't just stop being selfish. You have to work at it. You have to pray on it. You have to meditate on it. And you got to put some action in. You got to start being a little more conscious and aware of your behavior and your action on a daily basis. You got to pause when you're agitated. Some people say you got to replace them with a bunch of new values. I get down with that. What's the opposite of being selfish? Selfless. What's the opposite of being dishonest? Honest. What's and just complete opposites. But I've learned, man, that years in the program, man, them character defects, if there was 90 of them on there, guess how many I was holding on to fifth time through the steps? About 70. Program is not designed for you to do a heavy inventory every single year. It's designed for you to get into a 10th step and start to really check it along the way so that we don't have a heavier inventory. I believe the steps in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, right, are to restore you in your rightful place in the world. That's free of all that bondage and that wreckage and that destruction, right? Powerful thing for me is amends. And I'll kind of finish it up here. Is that I have to make some heavy amends like everybody does when they come in here, right? Walmart, CVS's. I went on down the line at this point, guys. I just, on my Facebook post, I seen one of the 3 plumbing companies that I actually work for mysteriously just popped up, and I'm like, I gotta go make amends to them. Because I was high as all hell at that job. Liability. So one amends I'm going to share with you is the one to my daughter. She's 17 years old. She's not no young kid no more. And my sponsor's like, okay, let's, are you willing to make those amends? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, okay, cool, call her. And I'm like, when? He goes, right now, you said you were willing. And I was like, wait a minute. Right? Crazy word, willing. Are you willing? Willing to sit on your ass and just talk about it? Or do something about it? It's a heavy word. When I say I'm willing to go to any length for my victory. What's that look like to you guys? That means everything. When the opportunity comes. Opportunity came. I went out and met up with my daughter. I didn't call her that day because I was really resistant. And my sponsor kind of laid it out for me. This is how the amends process works. Difference between an amends and apology. I'll give you a difference sometimes. And I'm sorry. My sponsor instructed me not to say sorry in none of my amends. Why? Because you said it 1,000 times and never meant it. They don't want to hear that anymore. Sorry sometimes looks like this. I borrow your car. I wreck it into the pole. I come back. I'm like, sorry, car, man. Shh, gotta go. I'm sorry. Proper amends sometimes looks like this. Hey, Corey. Sorry, man. I completely was not paying attention. Freaking idiot. Ran right into the pole, bro, and jacked your whole bumper up. What I need you to do is go to the shop and tell me exactly what it's going to cost to get it fixed and let me know and I'll take care of it. That's what an amends looks like. My daughter, how it went? Sweetheart, I got to talk to you for about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm at a part of my life. Sometimes I don't tell them that I'm in recovery because they don't know. Sometimes I don't tell them amends because they don't know. Sometimes I just tell them I need to set a wrong right if you're willing to listen to it. And what happens is I sit down with her and I say, hey, I deprived you of the father you deserve. I took advantage of your trust. I took advantage of your love. I've been a drug dealer and I robbed people and ripped people off about the last 10, 15 of your life. And I was crying at a Chipotle for about a half an hour, bleeding all this out to her. And at the end, I ask her, is there anything I can do, you need me to do, you want me to do? And more importantly, is there anything I left out? And do you need to share anything with me about all of this? And my daughter was like, wow, Dad. And I was like, yeah. The gig's up, right? No more smoke screens. Open book. What an amazing amount of freedom. Did it hurt? Yes, it did. It was the scariest thing in my life. One of them. Me and my daughter have a beautiful relationship now. I just went with her to the doctor, man, and took her, man. She's 6.5 months pregnant. She's going to be having a grandbaby, little baby girl. Seen the baby kick. I was like, hi. Yeah, this program's taught me a lot, man. So, and I finish the steps and I sponsor guys and I'm involved in a home group. And I've been active in Alcoholics Anonymous since I've been sober. I was taught early, get a home group, get a service commitment, and sponsor dudes if you want to stay sober and have a healthy life. I live a really good life and I do a minimum amount of work to keep it. What an amazing deal, right? And some of the gifts of sobriety, man, are on and on and on and on. I can tell you, man, Alcoholics Anonymous taught me how to live. Taught me how to take them huggies off and put on your big boy pants, right? Might want to get comfortable being uncomfortable for a while. Taught me a whole new way of living, a whole new way of thinking, which equaled a whole new way of life. I'm really blessed and fortunate, man, to be breathing air today, guys. And our old dude, man, told me years ago, if you can find gratitude just breathing in the morning, waking up with the life you had, you're going to be on fire. And it took me a while to get there, but I'm really grateful in the mornings. I rewind that tape on a daily basis, man. If I even get a little sketchy. 4 dudes at the house with guns with my daughter in the house. That's where it goes for me. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that track record I got. I don't live there, but I'm fresh on it like a tattoo. I got an amazing sponsor that I stay current with 2 or 3 times a week. I stay transparent with. He knows exactly what's going on with me. When I get in jams, I call him. If I don't get a hold of him, I got another 4 or 5 people I can. I got a bunch of friends in the fellowship, man, that I can lean on and depend on. I tell on myself constantly, man, because I'm a wreck sometimes. I meditate because I have about 5,000 or 6,000 thoughts a day and they're wrecked sometimes, boy. Woo! Thank God for meditation, man. And I sponsor a bunch of guys, man, and I got a really beautiful life, man. My family's back in my life, man. I've lost some things along the way. I don't want to see anybody out in here tonight, man, go back out, man. I hope you guys all make it. You all have the same opportunity and chance in this deal. It's a simple program of action, man. It's a kit that's laid out for you. It's like the swimming poo ruse, right? I'll leave it with this. Look at this program like a cake mix. You're going to bake a cake. 2 cups of flour, 2 sticks of butter, vanilla extract, brown sugar, chocolate chips. You mix it all together. You follow the recipe, right? You mix it up. You put it in the oven. You take it out. You pass it around. What does everybody say? Man, those cookies are good. Who made those? Right? But when you don't line up, man, with the program of action, this is what it looks like. We ain't gonna put no flour in it. We're gonna skip the brown sugar. We're gonna put half the chocolate chips, no vanilla extract, and we're gonna put it in the oven. We're gonna cook it up, and we're gonna put it out there. And what do people say? Who made these cookies, bro? They're gross. Homie over there, yeah. I get down with that. And that was me a lot of times, man. So I encourage you guys, man, to get this wherever you get it. This many past the top of the mountain I've learned. I've been halfway across the world and I've seen a lot of cultures and a lot of different people. I have a lot of different friends from a lot of different religious backgrounds. And I can tell you, we all line up in the same area. I'm more of a spiritual side of life. And I can tell you that it opened up my mind to a whole lot of different things and a whole lot of different people, man. And I'm really blessed and grateful and fortunate to be here tonight. I want to thank you guys for being a part of my recovery and let me be a part of yours. And with that, I pass.
Yeah.